Hi, I'm Nomi, and welcome to my podcast, Because I Love My Body. I'm so excited to bring you this podcast, where we'll be exploring the world of boudoir photography, talking about body awareness, self-empowerment, and so much more. I started my boudoir photography business in 2016 after realizing that my work in the fashion and entertainment photography industry didn't align with my true understanding of womanhood and beauty. Growing up with both of my parents as liberal rabbis, I learned that soul and body are equally important, and boudoir photography became my perfect medium to capture this essence. In this podcast, we're going to have open, casual conversations about topics that aren't discussed widely. I'm here to empower women and help you embrace your authenticity and feel more confident in your own skin. So join me to celebrate womanhood, beauty, and empowerment in all its forms. Hello and welcome to the season 2 premiere of the podcast, Because I Love My Body. I'm so thrilled to be here, especially with Empress Thandi of the Wise Wellness Center of Treasure Beach, Jamaica. Welcome, Empress. Thank you so much for being here.
Naomi, thank you. Good morning and Happy New Year again. It's great to be here with you on this platform. Thanks for the invitation.
Thrilled to have you here. I spent over New Year's in Treasure Beach, and as soon as I knew I was going to be there, I reached out to you. I've taken yoga classes with you. I've had a Yoni steam with you, which we're going to go more into. And as I was conceptualizing season 2, I was hoping you'd be willing to come on here. So thank you for your time.
Yes, you're most welcome. Thank you for the invite.
My pleasure. So just to start us off, Empress, would love to hear more about you and your journey to becoming a healer.
Wow. Well, Nupu Interhamit. I'm a sacred woman initiated into the Smaitawi temple, which is based in Brooklyn, New York. And I left Jamaica when I was about 12 years old, went to the States and did most of my studies. How I became a healer, first I had to heal myself. So you're looking at me, I'm going to say maybe 100 pounds lighter. I was also born with cardiovascular issues and realizing that certain lifestyle I had to maintain in order to maintain my health. So this is my way of maintaining my lifestyle. So I'm going to say that this path shows me in order for me to maintain my lifestyle and to stay healthy.
Absolutely. And so what does your work specifically focus on? Would love to hear, for me, I've been to your wellness center and I would love to hear more about the Wise Wellness Center so that everyone can hear about your special space.
Well, I'm so honored to be nestled in what we consider to be, I'm a part of wellness tourism. We're based in Treasure Beach on the south coast of Jamaica. And Wise Wellness Center consists of a full day spa. We also host at least 3 to 4 retreats a year. We have a health food store, a cafe, a vegan cafe, or mostly plant-based. And we also have a yoga studio. A big part of what we do here at Wise Wellness is detox. So we do things from colonic lavage, which is colon hydrotherapy. We also do liver cleanse, and we offer Yoni steam and foot detoxes. I'm a certified wellness practitioner. I'm also certified with the International Association of Colon Hydrotherapies, and I'm a certified health and wellness coach and a yoga teacher. Besides my regular college degree, I had to step boldly into having a full wellness practice in order to maintain my health. So this just kind of came up organically. And the way that I look at it, I'm sharing my lifestyle with persons that are interested.
It's such a special atmosphere. It's so creative. It's so community oriented. When you pull in, you're like, what is this special oasis. What led you back to Jamaica and Treasure Beach specifically? Because you said you moved away from Jamaica when you were 12 and then you came back.
Well, I'm a mother of six, gave birth to five, and I really wanted my children to have this experience, this Jamaican experience. Growing up for me, rivers and mango trees and being out in nature was so accessible, living on an island. And I really wanted my children to have access to this particular part of their culture and how important it was for them to connect to this side of their life. And my youngest daughter, who is now 11, we came here when she was 18 months. And my eldest had a chance to graduate high school here, and just for my children to have that experience. So that's one of the main reasons why I decided to come back home, for them to get rooted in this particular culture. Being from a multicultural relationship, my husband's background, my husband is Jewish. And, we lean a little bit toward the ancestry of both lifestyle and how we come together to create this family and just kind of have a beautiful fusion, I like to call it, of our families. A beautiful blend.
Yeah. So you mentioned, the blending. And one of the things that I wanted to chat with you today about is the blending and the honoring of the separation of the divine femininity and divine masculinity. I would love to hear from you, because I know I've learned from you in this regard, kind of a succinct definition of what those two terms are, because I think they get kind of thrown around, and would love to hear from you, like, what is divine femininity?
Well, for me, I can only speak of what that represents in my first personal lifestyle and understanding the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The divine feminine forces how others see themselves. It's the energy that exists within all of us. Some people might look at it as Kundalini or Shakti, or what we consider to be the divine mother. Being connected to Earth, Mother Earth, and being connected to source energy is also a way of exercising the divine feminine. Some people take it into a place where they think that it defines itself as being subservient. But for me, the divine feminine is an awakening that brings restoration to your family lineage and really honoring all the women in your lineage, recognizing where you are in your life, the feminine aspect of who you are, whether you're a male or a female, just to make sure that masculine and feminine is balanced. When we talk about the yin and yang, we both have the duality that exists in us. Are we leaning a little bit too much towards the feminine? Are we leaning a little bit too much towards the masculine? But it's just finding that balance within your lifestyle or within your life. For me, the divine feminine, what does that mean? Is really honoring the feminine qualities that we have, and also honoring Mother Earth, being a steward of the earth.
I love that. So it's about nurturing our roots almost.
Yes. When we say honoring the divine feminine, when we need to lean into our softness, we cannot go to what society thinks that, oh, you need to be strong, you just have a cycle, take a pill, move on to it, dumb it down, don't feel it. In order for us to heal it, we have to feel it. So maybe the body is saying I just need to lean a little bit into what my womb is going through right now. Let me lean into the softness. Let me listen to her. Let me take a time to nurture her,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think something else that I've gathered from our conversations together is that balance between the receiving, which is the more feminine, and the giving, which is the more masculine, and also wanting to pay attention to, we have a bit of all of this within each of us. So when we're saying divine feminine or divine masculine, it's about finding that yin and yang. But would you be able to expand a bit on that, receiving versus giving energy?
Well, I mean, when you look at how, not to get explicit here, but when you look at the things that can considered to be masculine and feminine, the sun is masculine, the moon is feminine. When you think about those two energy that exist, when you think about, we talk about the djed, the sacred feet that the masculine projects, outputting, we are on the receiving end with our sacred womb to be able to receive that energy.
Yeah.
So it's from that space that we have a womb. The masculine has the djed that gives the energy. So we are the
Right.
ones that receive it and give birth to that energy that has come into our womb.
Absolutely. I think sometimes people get confused when we are like, we love the divine feminine, and it's like, well, what about the masculine? And it's so important that by honoring the divine feminine, we're not taking away from anything. And then you told me this part of like, you need the sun and you need the moon.
Yeah, I can't be here without the divine masculine. You know what I mean? They both exist. And I think, and it's given homage and respect and coexisting and really honoring that. It's not a competition. We complement each other. You know what I mean? I want to lean more into my femininity. And I expect the divine masculine to show up and complement me so I can help him to be a little bit more on his feminine side. So it's all about finding that balance. I don't want to lean into pure masculinity or even pure divine femininity. I'm trying to find the balance in everything that I do, in every way, in every day, and that's really what it's all about. And I think where we really want to find balance in everything that we do, whether it's in nature. When we think about the havoc that's happening globally, it's because we're out of balance.
Mm.
We're not in a homeostasis state with our divine feminine and our divine masculine.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. First of all, like whatever is also the personal state of homeostasis is different for everyone. Like everyone's meant to be somewhere differently on the spectrum. And that in order for us to achieve the balance, we honor the power of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about one being better than the other. It's that they need to coexist.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
What are some ways, because we now have people listening from like 17 different countries, like all over the world, which is so exciting. What are some ways that we can connect with our divine feminine in urban environments? Because, both of us are based in Jamaica, around nature a lot. We can just go out and like stand on the grass, hug a tree. But let's say you're in Brooklyn or Dubai. Like, what are some good practices for connecting with the divine feminine wherever you are?
I mean, definitely, we spoke a little bit about nurturing yourself earlier, Naomi. And then when we talk about the external aspect of it, gardening, if you're in the urban area, you can always have some of the finer herbs on your windowsill, from thyme to rosemary to mints, things that you can just pick and get that natural electricity or energy from to become an earth keeper. Tapping into the earth mother is also one way. Being out in the parks, really taking time to get grounded. And when we think about our groundation, when we think about our foundation, we think about our root chakra. That's our safety. That's our connectivity to earth and to earth mother. So finding balance from that aspect that will get you to connect to your divine feminine. Garden is definitely one way to do that. You can also run yourself a bath, create your bathroom into a hydrotherapy where it becomes your sacred space for healing and nurturing. So there are several other ways those are the several ways that if you're in an urban environment, you can find ways where you can still feel that connectivity and definitely feeling connected to divine source.
I love that. So it's like using your bathroom as this sacred space for connecting with self, and plants, like those are ways to connect with the Mother Earth
Yes,
aspect.
yes, definitely.
I love that. I always love a good takeaway. Well, I know that one of the ways that I connected with my divine feminine is last year when I was in Treasure Beach. I think I went to one of your yoga classes, which is every single day, by the way, at Wise Wellness at 8:30 a.m. So if you find yourself in Treasure Beach, and you want to incorporate some movement every day at 8:30 a.m. So I went to one of your classes and I was looking at your spa menu and I saw the Yoni steam, and I had heard of Yoni steam, I think from like Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop. And just for some context, Yoni steaming is when you do a steam for your poom poom, as they say in Jamaica. And it's meant to be healing, it's meant to be a ritual. For me, I was like, okay, I trust Empress. This feels like a different kind of spa service. And so we were able to do that. So I would love to have you share a bit more about this ancient ritual.
Yeah, this it's a very ancient practice. When we talk about the Mayans that have this and also African, it's a very African holistic practice. When women would give birth, steaming was one of the quickest way. You know, you can get a sitz bath for people that have had trauma or have had a rough birth and experience. And there are certain herbs that we put together, from rosemary to lavender to roses to mugwort to motherwort. We always try to do a consultation before we put the herbal blends together. It's not just for pure sexual pleasure, but it's a way for you to connect to your root chakra. It's a way for you to connect to your divine feminine. When we talk about, you know, I spoke a little bit about earlier when you have given birth, and especially if you're passing out a lot of clotting or a lot of bloods, this is one way of softening for it to be able to pass out easier as well. When we talk about sexual trauma, when we think about our sacred seat or we think about our womb, if you look at a mirror and you think about all the different person that has come by and put their hands on that mirror, there's an imprint that's left on that mirror. There's also an energetic imprint that we have taken into our sacred seat if we have had multiple sexual partners. So how do we get a chance to clean? How do we get a chance to sit down and have a conversation? If my womb could speak, what would she say to me? So I'm sitting down, I'm steaming, I'm kegeling, taking into my womb what I want, and then releasing what I no longer want. So this is a way for you to sit in this beautiful red tent, drinking red raspberry tea or whatever it is that you need to release what no longer serves you, or maybe to take into your womb what it is that you'd like to birth. So it's from that space that we approach our Yoni steam ceremony. Now, we've had chants where people are not connected to that particular energy and they go in and like, oh, what's that sensation? They're kegeling. So you're contracting and you're releasing. And because everything is softening, some people do have an orgasmic experience because they get a chance to really connect to that portal, to that energy. And some people, it becomes traumatic or they're releasing, they're crying. So, you know, it's approaching each session and tailoring it and having the support for what the individual needs at the time during their steaming ceremony. And then after you finish steaming, here are these beautiful flowers, these plants that have come to their highest potency, that you get a chance to give it back to Mother Earth. So usually you take it and you pour it into a garden and you just release it. And within that release is what you have also released in the sitz pan that you no longer need. So it's very symbolic. And so I consider it to be one of the womb rituals to connect into the divine feminine.
There were two things that really struck me, which is it being both a strengthening and a softening exercise.
Mm-hmm.
That, like you're saying, you're sitting and you're both doing like these exercises, the Kegel, so like strengthening that internal space,
Mm.
but that with the steaming, it's also about a softening
Yeah.
and a letting go, and how that is part of engaging with the divine feminine, that there is a way of how can we strengthen ourselves internally, and also how can we release and cleanse and soften ourselves. And then the other really important part is about the womb creation, because I think we think about the womb and women creating just in the literal childbirth context, which is obviously a very big creation element for women. But that, because I remember when we did it, we were talking about creation, and you were like, what do you want to birth? And it wasn't about a literal baby, it was birthing something else. So I would love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, you know, we have our sacred divine seat, but we also have the womb of our mind, the womb of our hearts, and the womb of our divinity, where we're given physical birth. So we can conceptualize here, thinking about a business plan, whatever it is that we want to do. So we take it in. And then we can also conceptualize here as well, the womb of our heart, taking in love, whatever it is that we're bringing into this particular chakra that we would like to see manifest or manifest in the physical realm. So it's not just about birthing children or giving birth. You have just given birth to this podcast. So, you know, it's something that you've been holding in the thought realm, in the etheric realm, and then getting forced to be able to share this platform and this message to help educate and inform. Those are the several stages: the womb of our heart, the womb of our mind, and the womb of our sacred seat.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that it's really empowering for women to view themselves as like orbits of creation. And I think that's part of what it is for me to be in the divine feminine, is to feel like I am a creator in relation to the divine masculine, like not just isolated creation, like, but connected to everything around us. You're saying connected to Mother Earth as part of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because in this birth that you're given to for your podcast, it requires nurturing. It requires time. It requires taking it from infancy stage for you to grow it. It requires energy. Very similar from breastfeeding, from giving birth to a child, diapering, going through the early stage, adolescent. You know, it's very similar. So it's from that space that we have to look at everything that we're doing when it comes to the divine feminine, different aspects of birthing, you know, not just a physical child. Because when you think about this and how beneficial this is that you're doing, and the platforms and the forum and educating, it's a form of birthing.
And I think, you know, a lot of my clients, you know, a lot of them have children, a lot of them don't have children. And I think that this is a really empowering message to, you know, end with for this episode, which is that being a creator as a woman is a way to connect with that divine feminine. And that includes childbirth, but it's all of the things that we are capable of creating, whether it's with our work, within our dynamics with our families, our friends, our romantic relationships, that we are empowered to create. And that is a way to be in touch with our divine feminine.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what it is that we have to understand, you know, we have to understand the phases of our womanhood. You know, when I look at me personally, my life and how I've grown, you know, from coming from maiden to mother, wise sage, healer, into crone. And you just have to get to a point in time and says, this is where I am in my life right now. You know, the things that I was doing in my teens versus what I was doing in my 20s versus what I was doing in my late 20s into early 30s, what I was doing in my 40s. We have to understand that the not just the psychological, but also the physical changes that our body goes through as well. And understanding those cycles and those phases and really honoring where we are in every aspect of our lives. You know, it's from that place that we also have to look at the divine feminine, knowing that there's multiple phases or facets that we offer, you know, a community of women that exists when you need to go to the red tent, when you to get to a space of nurturing, when you come into that wild phase or that wild stage in your life, it's all part of your growth in coming into that throne, in coming into that sage, in coming into full wise woman stage, where you can sit down and go to your elder and say, boy, my heart is beating, this is what's happening to me, what's going on. Menopause is not talked about. This is more talked about because they can sell you something. So when we talk about the phases and stages and what it really means to be feminine, we have to look at from maiden to mother to crone to sage to goddess to healer, all that we embodied.
I'm so grateful, Empress, that we were able to give voice and use our throat chakra. I mean, all of our chakras, but specifically our throat chakra, to give voice to these meaningful and empowering ideas that we don't talk enough about. And I'm just so grateful that we had this opportunity to connect, and I'm really excited for everyone to participate and come visit us in Jamaica and absolutely make your way to Treasure Beach. It's worth the journey. So thank you, Empress.
Thank you as well. And for those that can't physically be here, you know, you can share my handles and my platform.
Absolutely.
Definitely do something online. Thank you as we use our Ekahu, our words of power, words to heal, and words to transform. So I give thanks for this opportunity and all the best in this new cycle and in this new year.
Love.
Yes, man. One love. Take care.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Because I Love My Body. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could rate the show 5 stars, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might love it too. I'll talk to you again next week.